like when he's been shot, and he's like, "Hey, protect her." Like, so you can tell, like, he's like, "I guess this is real,"
Yeah.
you know. And so I thought that was a very interesting kind of subplot. And there's also some other scenes with like Kyle, like being just overwhelmed with nature, you know, like because he's never seen green before because he lives in this nuclear wasteland. And then ultimately, the biggest thing, which I'm shocked they took out, was when Sarah gets carted away and it cuts to black before her kind of coda scene in the gas station in the desert. You pan up and you see the factory they were in was Cyberdyne. So it's like, that's genius. That just plays into the predestination thing. Have you seen these deleted scenes, Brandon?
I don't think I have. No, like the version that I have on DVD. If I did, it's been a long time. I don't even remember what's on the DVD. I know that there's a trailer, but yeah, I'm not even sure what's on the DVD at all. So this is not even ringing a bell. So I may never have seen these deleted scenes.
Well, it's interesting to me that they've never made like Terminator the extended edition, right? I mean, because Cameron loves this stuff. You know, he did it with Aliens. T2 has like 3 versions.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, all this stuff would improve the story. Like I'm usually not one to like usually, because you look at like Star Wars, like, okay, I understand why George Lucas cut out all this stuff, like Luke Skywalker at the beginning on the farm and his friends. It's like totally makes sense. Editing, it's addition by subtraction. But with the Terminator, you know, I guess they just wanted to keep the pace because it's like a relentless chase movie, you know, more than anything else. But I guess I'll have to make it myself as a fan edit. I'll send it to you. But like, I think inserting all these into the movie would have helped. So there you have it.
Because most of Cameron's films are better in their extended formats, like The Abyss and Aliens.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Are both better in their longer versions. You know, they flesh out the story a bit more. So yeah, it's kind of surprising that he didn't do this, do an extended cut of the Terminator. So
those are my big. I just time travel and these deleted scenes and extended stuff. Those are kind of the big things that I wanted to discuss right out the gate. But like, what sticks out to you about this movie, Brandon? I mean, we both love it. So why is it one of your favorites?
I like this one because you know it's an impactful movie on me. I want to talk about something that I saw. I remember seeing this on TV as a young kid, and it was on TV late at night. I didn't see the whole thing. But I know, and I can't believe that it was on TV, and I know that I saw it, was the scene when he's in that hotel room and he, like, cuts his eye out.
Oh, yeah, that is gruesome.
Okay, like, and I remember seeing this on TV. They may not have shown everything, but I couldn't look away because I was so horrified. And the only other time I'd been so horrified was when on Canada AM, this morning show that we have, they played Michael Jackson's Thriller. Like, when that first came out, like, I was getting ready for school and this was on, and it completely horrified me, because I was a small child when it came out, right? Like, whatever years these were on TV, but they were pretty close together. But I definitely remember seeing the blood drops in the water, so they may have edited around it for TV, but seeing those blood drops definitely mortified me. I don't know what else I saw, but I remember that scene vividly. It was on TV in the
the razor up to the eye is like, oh my god!
Oh jeez, those razors in general, like those are the same knives that are in Grotesque on X-Files.
Oh
right?
yes. Yeah, you know, for me, I'm 99% sure this is the first sex scene I ever saw in a film. It's like, oh, Linda Hamilton, you know, and then the hands clasping. Oh, what's going on? Oh, I understand. So it's just, but it's crucial to the plot, right?
Yes.
It's not some like, oh, we gotta get. Why are they doing this? Throwing it in for like some TNA or something? No, like this John Connor needs to be conceived, right? It's for the good of the future. So it's an important, a very important plot element in the movie. So
yes, absolutely.
So between this and King Kong Lives, Linda Hamilton's breasts are the first pair of breasts that I saw.
Is she in King Kong Lives?
She is, and you see some side boob in a sleeping bag.
Awesome. I'll have to watch King Kong Lives.
So there you go. Enjoy that bit of trivia, my friends.
Awesome. I like this movie. I think the pace is really, really well done. You know, like it's this locomotive movie that just doesn't stop. You know, and I noticed it again this time. Like, it's just the amount of action that's in here, the amount of every single beat that happens is completely essential to the plot point. Well, there's certain little, you know, writing things that I don't like that are very James Cameron, like when she locks up her bike and she's like, take care of it for me, big buns. Like, I don't know, like, it's just such a cheesy line to me, you know, and when her friend calls her into the room to watch the news footage, when she says "you're dead," like that's a good line. But the first one, she's like, "It's about you." Well, not really. Well, just come on and come and see it. Like, So some of the dialogue's a little bit bad, but I mean, like, I don't really care. It doesn't really bother me that much. But it's mostly
I see what you mean about the James Cameronisms, yeah. But I feel like he has enough brilliant dialogue too, like in the same kind of restaurant environment where he's like, "Hey, in 100 years, who's gonna care?" Like little stuff like that throughout the movie. Like, people are gonna care in 100 years. So,
well, they're not going to care about the ice cream.
Oh yeah, but you get the point, right? So and also something I just noticed this the first time watching it for this time. She's wearing a Jetson shirt. Sarah is at her apartment when she's getting ready. I'm like, because it's the future. Yeah, you get it. So little things like that, like Reese when he's having a nightmare about the future war, and he wakes up and it's a radio commercial about some new machine or something like that. I'm like, this is James Cameron stuff. This is smart.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yes. So, it is interesting watching this. I like also the way that the story unfolds because they don't give us everything about the future in one go. There's like a couple of different points in the movie where they give us a little bit about the stuff that happens in the future. And I really like that as well. So I think the movie is perfectly crafted and it's told in a wonderful way. And it's this freight train nonstop action flick that's one of the best. This is one of the best action films ever.
Yeah, and it's almost more like a horror movie, like a slasher movie, if you really think about it, right?
Yeah, because the guy's like nonstop trying to kill them, right? But it's not done that way because it's not really that gory, other than the eye thing. There's really not much in the film, right? Because the killing of the two Sarah Connors happens off screen. Like we don't see it. While he walks up to the one Sarah Connor, we don't see anything.
So got a phone book, right? I mean, I feel like when I showed this to my kids one day, they're going to be more like Kyle Reese than, It's like, what is all this stuff in the past? Like a phone book? Like that's an antiquated thing as it is. But getting to the Cameronisms, like there's these Terminator movies. There's all these like random just characters in it, like in just a moment, they have. And it's that like the guy who's on the phone and Arnold just throws him out of the phone booth. He's like, "Hey, you got a problem, man?" Little things like that. And even the punks at the beginning. Let's talk about them, right? You got Bill Paxton, right? Who was the only actor to be killed by a Terminator, an Alien, and a Predator, because him and James Cameron were great collaborators. And then you have Brian Thompson, who goes on to basically play the Terminator on the X-Files as the alien shapeshifter.
That's right.
So, and then some other random guy, the guy that Arnold he gets the close from. I don't know who that guy is, but just these little pieces. It just all comes together.
Yeah. It's really well done, and we'll talk about this scene again in a couple of movies because that scene in particular because it comes up again.
We will talk about this exact scene again. Yeah.
I'm having a tough time talking about this movie because it's like it's good, but it's like what is it? We've talked about the time travel, and we've talked about the action, we've talked about the story. I mean, like beyond that, it's like it's a good movie, but there's like not really much to dissect. Like, it's not really this deep philosophical film.
Well, I think it has a great kind of character progression for Sarah, because she starts out, she's just a goofy waitress, right? And at the end, she's the one having to, like, pull Kyle up and get through everything. You can see the transformation. You can see the genesis of the transformation of who she becomes Terminator 2 over the course of this movie. And so she's goes from being skeptical and scared to just fully trusting Kyle, and just the whole concept. Let's talk about this. Right? The whole concept of Kyle Reese falling in love with her because of some picture that John Connor gives him, and like I assume he used to just tell him stories about his mom all the time.
Yep.
That's kind of weird. It's like it's so romantic. Like, I came across time for you, Sarah. Like it's like so romantic, but also so absurd. But but I don't question it. It works. It
works for me, and the reason why I think it works for me is because the future is such a terrible place. Like, they don't have time to fall in love in the future because everything is so grim. And while obviously they're reproducing and having kids, they don't have a life. And so he's looking into this life. He's got this one picture of this woman before everything goes bad. And that's probably like all that there is for photos. There's probably not much left, right? There's probably no other kinds of photos or anything from prehistory. And he spends all this time gazing at it and like falling in love with her. I don't know. I buy it. I totally buy it.
Well, it's kind of like there's a speaking of time travel, a movie we will not talk about on this podcast because it's not a franchise. It's called Somewhere in Time, and it's a Christopher Reeve movie. Jane Seymour is in it as well, and they're like these. It's complicated, but he lives in the modern era, and she lives 60 years ago, and he falls in love with her from this picture. And it kind of made me think of that as well. It came out in 1980. It's based off of Richard Matheson novel of the same name, so it kind of predates the Terminator. Maybe Richard Matheson should have sued James Cameron as well. It's an interesting concept, and it's so weird because it's kind of like people knowing that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker, right? Is Luke Skywalker's father. Like that's just common knowledge. People are born with that information now, it seems. So it would have been very interesting to watch this movie because, having seen Terminator 2 first, it's not like a big twist that Kyle Reese is the dad, but I do wonder if that would have been like, oh my God, right? Like a mind-blowing twist, because it's pretty obvious eventually, especially obviously when they have sex, right?
Right.
It's just been cool to watch this with and not knowing that and having some revelation, because I do like it's I do really like another this little Cameronism where it's just a very smart script. I don't know if it's Cameronism, but these kind of things happen a lot in his movies. Is at the end when, actually, to take it back a step, he says, Kyle tells Sarah that he always wondered what she was thinking about in the picture that he had. And we see that picture being taken,
right,
and it turns out she was thinking about him. I was like, oh, that's great. That's great. I love it. So, these little things, and we haven't been talking about Arnold much at all. Let's talk about Arnold. He's amazing in this, right? Just the way he moves. Like, he's talking about how, he's like a shark scanning the water, when he's driving through the parking garages looking for them. And he's just such an intimidating presence. And he spent a lot of time training with firearms and stuff to kind of get the whole movements right and that kind of thing. And it's just, you don't think about how impressive it is what he's doing, but he's firing off shotguns with one hand and just blowing through people. And it's just a very intimidating presence. And something that people really don't think about with him is he kind of has a mop top when he shows up, but he gets set on fire. It's at one point in the film, and his eyebrows get burned off, and his hair gets burned off, and that's why he has what would become the Terminator look. And that's when you see the poster or the cover of the VHS or DVD over the years, it's always that shot of Arnold in the leather jacket with the glasses and the hair. But there's a story reason why he has that hair and why he has those glasses. He's covering up his eye injury as well, which kind of becomes, it becomes a bit of a stretch when every single version of Arnold, he has to get the leather jacket and, get the sunglasses, because in theory, if all these guys come off of an assembly line, shouldn't they all look like the Arnold from when he first showed up in 1984, which they do right in Terminator Salvation. So anyway, I don't know if you guys can tell, I spent a lot of time thinking about this this movie. I have a lot to say, but Arnold is great. I don't know if they would have cast, I don't know, like I say, O.J. Simpson, but some other guy in the 80s, if it would have become as iconic. It's like a chicken or egg thing. Is Arnold iconic because of this, or is this iconic because of Arnold? I don't, because he went on to be such a huge superstar. That was part of the demand to have a sequel to this movie. So I don't know, but I think even though he doesn't have a lot of lines, and you think it's easy to kind of be this big physical guy, I think he does a great job in the role.
I agree, and I think it's one of his better roles. I'm not the biggest Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. He's never won. I've seen him in a few good movies. I really like True Lies. I think he does some good work with James Cameron. But as far beyond that, I don't really watch Schwarzenegger. He's not an action star that I seek out. Is he one that you like to watch outside of the Terminator movies?
Oh, yeah. I love Arnold. Total Recall is my favorite non-Terminator Arnold movie.
Total Recall's great. Total Recall's a masterpiece, and I don't care what John Mills says about it.
Now, Total Recall might be Arnold's best just film, as Arnold, outside just the Terminator is a very specific role.
He's just Arnold and everything else, though.
Yeah, but you love Arnold, right? It's like Shatner.
Well, I don't love Arnold.
William Shatner. I don't mean you. I mean as an audience. America loves Arnold. Predator as well. I mean, he's part of a big ensemble there, which helps.
Yeah.
But he is unquestionably the lead there. I just Arnold is so entertaining in any scenario. So it's interesting that
he's no Tom Cruise.
My Arnold is your Tom Cruise, I guess. But it's interesting. Yeah, he plays this silent killer in this movie. But what he really goes on to be known for is this over-the-top, one-line spewing, action hero. I mean, he has some one-liners in here. I don't know why "I'll be back" became such an iconic catchphrase.
He says it in everything, doesn't he? After this, he says it in almost every movie.
Yeah, but I just don't understand why, like in 1984, you saw this in a theater.